Each week during his service as a helicopter pilot in Vietnam, Paul Bloomquist would try to ease his parents' worried minds back home in Salt Lake City by writing, "The surf's good, the weather's fine, the beaches are beautiful."
They didn't buy it, not for a second. He maybe thought they did. But, you know, there's news and TVs, and people knew what was happening. So if it made him feel better and he thought he was making them feel better, that's about it.
Lieutenant Colonel Paul Big Bear Bloomquist was born in Orem, Utah in October 1932. He distinguished himself as a heroic medevac pilot during his career in Korea and Vietnam, and earned numerous decorations before meeting a tragic end in a cowardly act of terrorism. Bloomquist attended the University of Utah and enlisted in the Army. He had always dreamed of a career as an Army aviator, so when given the chance to attend the helicopter officer's course, Bloomquist jumped at the chance. Next began a series of overseas assignments that would define his career. His first assignment abroad was with the 54th Medical Detachment in South Korea, where he flew helicopter ambulance missions in the volatile demilitarized zone that separated North and South Korea. Bloomquist was promoted to captain in 1960 after completing more training in the States. He soon returned to Korea for a second tour of duty in 1962. There he developed a reputation as a fearless pilot and born leader.
I don't think he was afraid of any person or anything, except maybe my dad and mom. Other than that, he just didn't care.
In February 1964, Captain Bloomquist joined the 1st Aeromedical Evacuation Unit in Vietnam, the 57th Medical Detachment, also known as Dust-Off, in reference to their radio call sign. The name Dust-Off became synonymous with life-saving aeromedical evacuation and took on added meaning with the application of the Dust-Off Association's motto, "Dedicated, unhesitating service to our fighting forces."
He said there was a job to be done and I could do it better than anybody. And if I get shot down, then so be it. A lot of guys get shot down. But there was hundreds of guys getting shot on the ground that I could save their lives.
In Vietnam, Captain Bloomquist had one of the most challenging and dangerous assignments of the war. Flying above battlefields in search of wounded Americans, Bloomquist distinguished himself as one of the Army's finest military officers and premier pilots. During 21 months of daily combat flying, he was cited for heroism several times. Among his many decorations were 3 Purple Hearts, 4 Distinguished Flying Crosses, 26 Air Medals, and 3 Vietnamese Crosses of Gallantry, given for heroism in battle. For Paul Bloomquist, the mission came first. He served as a role model for many of the younger pilots in his unit and was well liked by all. Because of his legendary exploits and heroism, Captain Bloomquist became somewhat famous. Because of this, Time magazine sent a reporter to Vietnam to spend 2 weeks with him in 1965. The resulting article only served to increase his fame. Because of his heroic service, Captain Bloomquist was named Army Aviator of the Year in 1964. The following year, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce recognized him with an Outstanding Young American Award, the only Army officer to be so recognized. Transferred to Germany and promoted to Lieutenant Colonel, Bloomquist was assigned to command the 45th Medical Battalion of the Army's 3rd Armored Division. Bloomquist used his leadership skills to help his soldiers maintain unit readiness and morale. He was later assigned to Frankfurt, Germany, to complete his few remaining months in Europe. On May 11, 1972, Lieutenant Colonel Bloomquist left his office late in the day and walked across the street to the Officers Club. As he climbed the steps, the first of 3 explosions hit, resulting in his death. The bombs were later found to be the work of the Baader-Meinhof gang, a notorious terrorist group operating in Europe.
And it was ironic that that bomb wasn't directed at him. It was just, you know, bomb makers doing what they do, just trying to terrorize people. And wrong place at the wrong time is the only person that got killed.
In recognition of his heroism and sacrifice, the Department of Defense named the U.S. Army installation at Ziegenberg, Germany, Camp Paul Bloomquist. The legacy that Lieutenant Colonel Paul Bloomquist left behind is carried on by generations of heroic dust-off pilots. Wherever there is an armed conflict, there will be a fearless group of aviators willing to risk their lives to save the wounded. Lieutenant Colonel Bloomquist would be proud.